finance committee all here. We've got 3 elected officials and the press. Well, we did have 3 elected officials. She's here somewhere?
Yeah. She's at the
She's here but not here. We have 7 JPs total here today. Kelly is on her way. When Kelly had to be here for the insurance committee meeting a while ago, then she had to fly back out to the courthouse and try to get some stuff printed off for us and some adjustments made, and she's bringing paper copies in, but she called me about 12 minutes ago, and she was walking out of her office headed this direction. So she's on her way, and she's bringing us paperwork to look at and work on. The true purpose of this meeting is to try to seal off the 2020 budget process. I asked for us to be able to meet this week so that we could make the few last minute adjustments that have been requested and look at them. And then we still have our regular monthly finance committee meeting on Monday. So that if we have anything dangling left today, then we can actually finish it up and take care of that this coming Monday at 1:30, and then present the full budget for the court's passage on December 17th, that Tuesday night. So, with all that said, we don't have the numbers until Kelly gets here, but a while ago in the insurance committee, and Justice, whatever his name is, committee. In Justice Nelson's insurance committee a while ago.
I'm sorry. I really apologize.
Okay.
I just went blank at that
Sometimes
point.
I like it better when people don't know my name.
When I said justice, it's like,
Where'd he go?
what's his name?
Well, when we were building this budget, you know, through this process, insurance has been the big white elephant in the room the whole time. And we knew that we had some catastrophic losses this year in 2019, and it's cattywampering our loss ratio compared to our payments in. We discovered that we were actually in a self-contained, self-insured pool, and it had been misrepresented to us. We didn't realize that. We thought we were involved in a
Coalition.
coalition
Give me a pen.
of several counties and cities that would made a big pool to have been able to commingle our losses with, so they wouldn't have been quite so catastrophic on us. Found out that's not the case. Stevens did a presentation a bit ago, and they came up with proposals from Qual Choice and United Healthcare. The end result of that was, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Justice Bill,
I will.
but that committee is recommending that we go with option 2 for Qual Choice. The previous best option that we had, and then honestly, the best case scenario would have been a 22% increase for us.
Which would have been 209,000.
Increase,
Yes.
just the increase. And this time, this new option 2 with Qual Choice, instead of 22%, is coming in at 5.7% increase. So it roughly an 18% difference. And it's really making a big difference. If you look at it, our, I'll get to my calculator here.
I'm working on it.
Are you? We've got roughly 200 employees. I've always just used 200 as a round number. And with 200 employees, 9724 has been the number that we've been working with per employee, $810 a month. A 22% increase would have been $178 per employee times 200 would have been, no, that's not right,
No, my first one bounced.
times
on me.
12. Yeah. 9724 times 0.22. $2,140 increase per employee. And if we had 200 employees, that's actually a $428,000 increase. That would have been the increase, almost $430,000. Now then, at 97.24 times 0.57
Actually, it's
times 200.
Should have been .057.
Cut your insurance.
0.057, yeah, 97.24 times 0.057 times 200. We're looking at 111,000 increase. So we've gone from 400,000 to 110,000, roughly a $300,000 difference. When we were talking earlier in earlier meetings that we were going to suffer this $400,000 increase, we just didn't feel as a responsible committee and group, I mean a court, responsible court, that we couldn't responsibly cover $400,000 increase in insurance costs and give raises or bonuses. It was just going to be, it was just financially choking on us in the long run. But now then, through Justice Bill's committee work and with the help of Kelly and Stephen's group, looks like we're going to maybe not suffer quite such a catastrophic loss and maybe drop $300,000 out of what we were anticipating in potential costs. So 2 or 3 of you have approached me individually and asked, would we at least consider? I heard raise off somewhere in the distance, but then in a couple closer places, I've heard maybe smaller bonuses, something to just show the county employees we have not abandoned or forgotten them. And I'll tell you, especially with what Justice Nelson's committee did a while ago, I'm ears open, guys. I'm ears open. So Justice Byrd, you're one of them that mentioned it to me. Wondered if we might do something. What you want to talk a little bit about what you're?
Well, I mentioned a week or so ago to Michael that if we could just do something. I know in the past our bonuses have usually run in the $1,200 range for full-time and $600 for part-time. And even, you know, looking at the insurance thing and everything, with the uncertainty of not really knowing exactly where we are on this and being very cautious about it and yet trying to do something. I mentioned to him we might want to do something in the neighborhood of half what we had done before in bonuses. Like a $600 bonus for full-time employees and a $300 bonus for part-time employees. At least it gives a little extra money at Christmas time and everybody would have it. It would not be tied, and that would go into 2019, the budget.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the funds that we could do that. It would not be tied to 2020 budget. And it would still leave us open if some calamity came along on this insurance thing where we're not obligated to do that again. And that was just my suggestion.
You also mentioned something.
Something I want to,
Oh,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I won't mind.
Well, I've also been thinking about this, and I've been thinking about it for quite some time. And looking at it, you know, for us to, I realized at the time we had the 22% increase on that we were looking at. However, I did think, you know, with no raise, I think that it is important, and I think we owed it to other county employees to the other county employees to maybe look at ways that we could potentially streamline, you know, our employees. I think that that's something in any budget process. When you can look at cutting, you know, cost of cars and utilities and all those kind of things, but typically they're not going to make a difference in your budget like streamlining employees. This is, as you can tell by my voice, this is a very, I understand that this is a tough conversation to have. I think it, because of course we're talking about people. But I think it's a conversation that we owe the citizens and the other employees of the county. I think it's a conversation we owe them. When I was looking through our payroll budget, I was looking to see if there were any, what I'm going to call duplicates or jobs that were not necessarily going to affect the services to the citizens of Mississippi County. I certainly want to offer those, I don't want to do anything that's going to increase the workload on anyone, but I certainly think that we need to look at the needs of our county now versus maybe last year. I think we need to look at the slots that we have added and look at and to see if there's any slots that we could potentially get rid of. I know that there's been, maybe one or two slots that have not, that have funding that have not been, there's not been anybody in the last couple of years, or in over 12 months or over 18 months. I think that we could potentially look at, defunding that spot. When I looked at it, and I would like to open the discussion because, again, I'm a new justice and I know there's lots of things that I don't understand, and I would love for you guys to help me to see what we, I would like for you just to simply openly discuss these things with me. When I did ask Kelly to give me a list of some of the slots that we had created this year, and some of the things that we've done, and so that we could review over that. One thing that I have noticed is that, we went from 2 janitor slots at 2080 hours, or I'm sorry, at 1690 hours to 4 janitor slots at 2080. I mean, I just don't know if maybe that was not a little premature in our thinking. Maybe it should have been some part-time or temporary spots. I don't know that we need to double our janitors. I don't know that that's serving where the citizens of Mississippi County would like for their tax dollars to necessarily be spent. I would like for our courthouses to be clean. I just don't know that it's going to take double the spots. And again, I understand that this is a tough discussion, but I would like for you to bear with me just for a moment. We had, in the sheriff's department, we had a major retire, but we moved somebody into that major spot. Our jail is seeing less prisoners. We are seeing less population. I don't know that Mississippi County needs 2 majors anymore. I just, and I'm just giving my opinion. There, a couple of years ago, we separated the 911, the coordinator and the mapping. I'm not sure that those need 2 spots. I don't know that there's double the workload there. I would, again, no one's saying anything. And lastly, at the beginning of the year, we took away, we got rid of a secretary bookkeeper slot to create a public relations spot, but then we've turned around and added a bookkeeper slot to the landfill, and we've added a part-time slot to the finance department. So that was a position that was needed. Apparently, or maybe it wasn't, I'm not sure. But either way, we are adding employees. I feel like,
And we're raising the salaries tremendously of others like we did yesterday. When you bump somebody 4,000 and 5,000 and somebody else gets 0, that's a big bump.
and just the positions that I simply mentioned right now, are over $200,000 worth of payroll. Those would, streamlining our payroll would make up for, would give us the ability to potentially, give raises. It would also give us the potential to continue to meet the needs of our county. Just like, we talked a couple of weeks ago about the juvenile office. That workload is increasing. They are seeing more cases. I did do a little bit of research on that. He does need a full-time person. I think it's as important for us to look at the people we're adding as it is for us to look at people that we just simply may not need anymore. And again, know, it's a tough discussion. I don't know how you guys feel, but that was something that I felt was important, at least for me to say.
This bill you want to add
Yes.
to,
It looks like we're on course to adopt this option 2 that includes Qualchoice as our insurance carrier. The surplus that we're going to have out of insurance compared to what we thought we were going to pay is going to be somewhere around $300,000 to $400,000 that we're going to save. I was going to suggest, and Molly has made a good pitch that I like her pitch probably better than I like mine. And this may be illegal, but could we help pay the deductibles on these people that's got $4,500? Let's just say that he's at the landfill, pick on Neil again, I remembered your name. He's got a $4,500 deductible for someone goes in the hospital. He's not gonna have it, so he's gonna have to work out payments to pay it. Is there some way that we could put part of that money, 200,000 or something, to help employees who must have these, who can't bear these costs, is what I'm trying to say? That we could somehow or another take the money that we'd set aside for insurance and use it for insurance. That's all I was gonna say. It just seems to be like that we budgeted for insurance, let's use it for insurance.
two different concepts. You want to split the middle?
Well, in regard to what Bill's saying, and I'm not an insurance man by any stretch of imagination, but in order to do that, I think you have to go to a health HMO, not a HMO, but where you do an upfront payment. A lot of companies have done that, where they do an upfront, they go for a high deductible policy, but then at the beginning of each year in a health savings account, they contribute so much money to a health savings account. I think that's the only way you can do that legally, where they can draw that. What happens then, when they go in, if they have something beside a hospital visit or something, then they submit bills. It can only be spent for certain items. They submit the bills, they get reimbursed for that. But I think in order to do that, you have to go a health savings account type situation.
I was trying to find something to do now instead of at the end of the year.
Right.
If you had to wait till the end of the year, you're gonna have collectors hunt you down because these hospitals, doctors are gonna want their money. And they're
No,
not
the
gonna
way
wait.
it works, you fund it up front. For example, for 2020, if the county were to do this, you fund it up front. The county puts $1,000 per employee or whatever it is into their account. It's their account. And then as they have expenses coming,
200,000
or whatever, I'm just using,
for one individual.
no, you only draw what in your account. I don't think, as far as establishing a pool that any one person could come out of, I'm not sure
I'm
to
not
do that.
I'm not either, not a.
But I do know that a lot of companies have gone to these health savings accounts where you fund it up front and then they do that.
Just to say,
Can I interject something? The health savings account is basically, because we used to have one through the hospital. Yes, it's funded up front, but what happens is the employee agrees to put so much into it because it is a health savings account. And the county may fund it up front, but they get that money back because the employee pays in. And then they have a debit card. Every time they go to the pharmacy, you run your debit card and that money comes out of your health savings account. The employee actually selects the amount that they want to put in there. When we were doing it, we used to put $2,500 a year in. It covers hospital deductibles, co-pays at your doctor, copays for medication, if you wanna pay your deductible when you're admitted to the hospital. Say they walk in, they haven't paid anything on that $1,500 deductible. They run their card, and it, like I say, it's paid for actually by the employee because they select, I want to put $15 a paycheck in, so I'll have X amount of dollars at the end of the year. And I might ought to use round numbers because I can do those quicker. If they put 20 in, they'd have basically $520 that year to go towards deductibles, if you see what I'm saying. Now, that money's not there at the first of the year, so basically the county funds it. But that money comes back by the employee contributions. This is my understanding of it. Because like I say, we did the 2,500 that on the second day of January, I could walk in and be admitted to the hospital and pay my deductible.
Okay. To be honest with you, I think we need to throw that into your committee and let y'all see what's legal.
I think that we ought to make a decision about it today in the finance. I think what Rick and Neil were saying is beyond what I was suggesting. I'm not trying to create work for anybody. I was just simply making the suggestion. Can't we take part of that money and help them with their deductibles?
If we can, and we don't need to be talking about bonuses or anything like that. If we're gonna, we're gonna spend that $400,000, then we need to back up.
I didn't put a figure on it.
Oh.
But
So what would you rather have? Would
It's
you
not
rather,
me.
would you rather, that's,
Okay, what would the county rather have?
no, the employees, what
Okay.
would they rather have? A 3% bonus and spend it at Christmas? Or would they rather have something that lasts all year and health for their children, their family and everything? I don't know. I'm just asking y'all, what is the better use of our money? That's all I'm inquiring. Whatever we decide, I'll go with it. It don't matter to me. I just thought that was a good use of the money. Since we had budgeted for insurance
but would it be fair to everybody? Some people don't use
as
the
much as
doctors
possible.
much.
Yeah. You're never fair to everybody, but you need to be as much as possible.
You got any thoughts on that one? That's not exactly what you were
No,
talking about.
no. Well,
We'll come back to you.
no,
I'm
no,
gonna
it's
leave you.
fine. No, it's okay. I mean, off the top of my head, you're right. I mean, what we would have to have enough money to be able to do that for everybody that was in there, you know, to where we could service everyone, to help everybody. I don't know if we're in the spot to be able to do that. I know there's certainly significant
I don't even know
savings.
if it's legal, what Neil said.
Yeah.
It may not be legal. He's probably right, but,
But it is interesting that you're saying that, because I did think about that in the meeting today. I thought, well, I wonder if there's a way that we could,
Help with the
you know,
deductible.
and when she said we could go back to, she could get us the numbers on the $500 deductible.
this is
And I thought, I
substantial.
wonder how much that would be, and still, it may not even be the 22%. You know, it's still,
Out of network, it's $9,000. If the doctor or the hospital's out of network and they're in Mississippi or Alabama, it's $9,000. That's a chunk, even for you, Rich Durham. So, you know, and here in the state, it's 4,500.
no, it's, I mean, yes,
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And, you know, these people that work for salary and live from Friday to Saturday or Monday to whenever, that paycheck's buys groceries, car payment, utility bills, and it's gone. And they're staring at a deductible $4,500. It's tough. I feel sorry for them.
No, I do too. I mean, I do.
So
And-
if I had to make a choice, would I make a choice between the raises and this? If we could do this, it would be this.
But how much would you spend on this?
I don't know if it's legal, Mike.
Oh,
Just
Yeah.
taking, if we just did $1,500 for deductibles on 200 employees, that's $300,000.
It leaves us 100, do something else with it.
Well, actually, we're spending that other 100 to, because that's how much our insurance is gonna increase it, just the 5%, or 5 point whatever percent.
5.7.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing for or against, I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, I just, first of all, I wanna know if it was legal, if we can do it. But
We got a conversation going on back there that they ought to share with us, or
Well, maybe to simplify it, if the feelings of the group is that we want to enhance the health care more than giving a bonus or a small raise, maybe we need to get the number of what a $500 deductible plan would cost.
I think so, and
Is she getting that for us?
I don't think she left thinking that she was, but I can make sure.
because when we talked about it in the insurance meeting, you know, she said she could get the figures to see if they wanted to buy into the $500.
She said-
Yeah, I thought that we were gonna
Okay.
give them the option.
Is that what the current deductible is, $500?
No, they can buy up to.
What
that.
is it if they don't buy it?
It's 25 out of, it may be 25.
Do you girls know?
Oh, I think I have it.
2,500 if you don't buy up.
I bought up, so I don't know.
Yes, it is 25.
It was 5.15.
I bought up.
Actually,
Her
it was zero.
personal.
and so we're going from 25 to 40.
Well, I'm just saying, if,
No, I'm just trying to let you calculate.
right, if you're going, you know, if you want to put it into the healthcare side of it more than a raise or a bonus, then looks to me like the easiest and the less complicated way would be go see what the $500 deductible's gonna cost you.
4,000.
And what,
Or 1,000, or even.
or 1,000, or 5, you know, like I say, and then see how much it's gonna cost the county.
Well, but now, am I understanding correctly, so the deductible is actually going down?
Yes,
No, it's $2,500 if you're
There's
not in a
2,500
shark
now,
network.
it's going to
And it's
4,500.
2,000 if you're in the shark network.
Out of
But
pocket.
that's
Deductible's
total.
1,500.
Right, but
Total out of
pocket
pocket
is
is 40.
4,500.
That
Right.
includes all your co-pays on your drugs. and-
Right, so currently
visits.
though, what is, if you
But
don't do the buy,
our out of pocket is the same as our deductible, like there's no extra, so it's either 2,500 or
Here.
2,000.
Doing low.
so it's 2,500.
oh, I see, right now it is. What was it, if you did not do the buy-in this year, it was
Then your total out of pocket should be
was 2,500. Okay, so we are, okay, got it, okay.
Well, do y'all want to recommend let Kelly to contact Joanna again and see what the other buy-in cost would possibly be at $500 or $1,000 deductible? Or, are we talking about deductible or total out of pocket? Because the 4,500 you're using is total out of pocket.
Well, usually they're tied together. If you go for a lower deductible, your out of pocket usually is lower too.
So let's ask for $500 deductible.
But
And
something,
1,000.
Yeah, I think
I've been
about
both-
1,000
but
maybe.
something you have to remember is,
Kelly,
under
are
the
you
current
calling?
plan,
I will.
are
Do you mind
your
going out there and giving us
copay
some privacy, or if you think
to
you
the
hear
pharmacy
him
does
himself?
not
No,
count
I'll have to go out there because.
against your $2,500 deductible, or
Well, you can't hear on mine
Or
because
out
it
of
goes to my
pocket.
It
ears.
does on the new.
where it does on the new one.
You
I want to make
can.
sure.
I can show you how you can hear it.
No, that's okay. I'll go get mine.
Usually it doesn't, because I probably assure you, if that was the case, I wouldn't be paying any right now. Because I've met my out of pocket.
One of the biggest problems we have is we're out of time. We got to pass a budget.
Mhm.
And if we're going to do a bonus, we need to do a bonus. If we're going to do a raise, we need to do a raise. If we're going to do this, we need to do this.
Well, the truth of the matter is, if we do a bonus, it's in this year's budget.
That's true.
It doesn't
That's
affect
true.
next year.
Sorry?
What do you say? That
He said, and he pointed out a real good point. If we're going to do a Christmas bonus, it comes out of the 2019 budget. We're not affecting 2020.
Yeah.
So let's back up. We're going to let Kelly do that.
Okay, well, let me
Let me
make
say
sure.
this about the 2020. We can always look at that option, and if we figure out that we can't do something, we can come back in July and look and see about a raise
Exactly.
for 2020. But right now, or you can even do it 3 months down the road if you figure out that we're saving enough on the insurance or that we can't do something. And I'm all for that, but I don't know if it's legal. I'm with Bill. I don't know if we can legally do it.
Well, if we change the deductible, that's what we,
Yeah.
this idea of what a change in deductible, and that is legal. So
Well, we know we can change the deductible, but is it cost effective? Because right now, what everybody did last year is basic, like I did it. I bought where my deductible, I think it went from 2,500 to 1,500. I didn't go to the $500 deductible. So that's something that the employees picked up last year. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there so, we look at it and we think about it from the same terms. It might be something we could look at the employees and offer them the ability to buy it down, or we pick it up, whichever.
I'm gonna pull the chairman card out. I don't normally do that, but I played round robin, and I've gone to the 3 other members of the finance committee, and now we've got 3 different, completely different concepts floating around the table.
that'll teach you.
So let's attack one at a time.
Okay.
We started with Justice Burge, whatever his name is.
Go ahead.
Put your name tag on, would you?
And so I'll summarize. We've got the 3 concepts that I just mentioned. We've got possible Christmas bonus coming out of the 2019 budget. Justice Jackson brings up a really, really good reduction in force point, reduction in personnel, to recapture some of the dollars that we've spent over this 2019 year that maybe we've looked at it, maybe it's not working out as quite as well as we thought, and maybe we need to regroup and rethink. Then Justice Nelson wants to talk about maybe helping our employees a little bit more with health care. And they're all really good concepts and good ideas, but let's deal with one at a time, and let's go. If we're talking about the 2019 budget, we can talk about it completely separate from these other 2 things. So let's tackle 2019 for just a second and look at, since we are having a little bit of a breather, and we are in good financial condition. Peggy's here. Peggy, we're at 3.3 million in our county reserve CD, and yesterday we were about 1.8 in general fund balances. We've still got some more tax collections and the tax settlement to go through. If we're talking about what Justice Burge mentioned a minute ago, he said maybe at least half of what we've done in the past. In the past, what we did was $100 a month and $50 a month for full-time and part-time employees, which amounted to $1,200 and $600, the numbers he used. When we were talking about those, when we've done those in the past, we were looking at that full bonus rate, a little over $200,000. That's what it cost the county to do those bonuses, 220, give or take. And so if Justice Burge is mentioning even half of that. We've given good raises this year, guys. I mean, we've given, in the last 2 years, we've given excellent raises to our employees. We haven't forgotten them. And we're talking about picking up the additional cost in healthcare. But I totally agree with Justice Burge and letting our employees know that we do still appreciate them. So, do y'all feel comfortable in spending 100, 110 plus and giving this number bonus out of the 2019 budget and doing it effective immediately in the next payroll cycle that's plausible through the payroll department? Or have you got another number in mind, or do you think that's a not very good idea and we need to hold on to our money to go towards 2020 budget?
I support his concept.
Because it's not affecting what you're doing. We're talking about 2019 budget.
I understand. I'll support his concept.
I do too.
Do you like those numbers that he threw out there? Was that a thought out number? Is that a hard number? Is that a suggestion?
That was before we knew that there was going to be a reduction in insurance, so I was just finding a number that seemed to let everybody know we appreciate them and yet did not strap us to.
So we'd be talking 600 for full-time, 300 for part-time. Discussion on that.
And that amounts to what?
About 110,000, roughly. Now, I'm being real loose there.
How many part-time could be 1 hour or
Kelly, about how many part-time employees do you think
No,
we've
no,
got?
I'm trying to determine the definition of part-time. Is that somebody that works 1 hour a week or what? I'm trying to determine where do we stop at
Less
300?
than,
Less than 30.
yeah.
There's less than 30 people that.
Less
fall
than
in.
30
No,
hours.
less than 30 hours.
Oh, less than 30
Well,
hours?
less than 20 is, yes, less than 30 is the cutoff.
Ever how they've been doing it in the past. We've done this 2 or 3 times before, it's just different numbers.
Yes, and we used
I don't know
everybody
how
under
they-
30.
No, I think it's very important to do something, whether it's a cost of living raise or a bonus at the end of the year. And that is what took me to looking at it from the angle that I looked at it. I think it's always important to reward, I think we have to show the county employees how much we appreciate them and are appreciative of the work they do.
Ms. Upler, you're not on the committee, but you are a JP, you represent the same number of people we do.
I like what Mr. Burgess said also. I think it'd be greatly appreciated this time of year.
Justice Clay?
I think I've been involved before in a situation where the main thing is that is it all balance for anyone? Is that, because when you can lift one side and the other side flattens or whatever. So I think if it was, kind of tied in with a whole program, I think that would
Justice Ash?
I think that the idea of a bonus for this year is a real good idea. I think we need to appreciate our employees, and I have no problem with 600 and 300.
Justice Byrd, I'm going to circle right back to you, right to the beginning. Is that an adequate number? Is that where you want to go?
I would like to go more, but under the circumstances, we don't know absolutely for sure about these claims that are sitting out there. And since our insurance program is in somewhat of a flux, I feel safe that we can do this and not hurt us and not pin us in to where if we have to deal with something unexpected.
And I would entertain a motion.
I move that we, out of the 2019 budget, that we give all full-time employees a bonus of $600 and part-time employees a bonus of $300.
At the next, when's our next payroll?
Next payroll.
Well, wouldn't we have to wait until after the 17th to do it?
Why?
Well, does it need to go to full court
Yes.
for that ordinance? I mean, because we have to do that, we have to do a bonus ordinance. So I mean.
Keep us straight.
We always do a bonus ordinance and appropriate that money, and until, I guess, the year before last, or I guess it was last year, this year we had to do an emergency ordinance because we did forget.
Oh, yes, that's correct.
So,
Thank you. I understand now. We
Yes.
haven't appropriated the extra money yet.
yes, so if we need to do that first, we could do that on the 17th, and then we could do it on our December 31st payroll, if.
I'll second his motion.
Justice Burge?
If that's what we can do. I'd like to get it to them before Christmas, but if we can't do that, we can't do it.
Well, the only other option is the 17th, is our next payroll, and so, if it's fine to do
You
it.
understand what she's saying? Writing checks on money that we haven't
I
appropriated.
understand, yeah, I understand completely. It's a timing thing.
Yeah, but
I think it would really be appreciated before Christmas if we can get it to them, but if we can't, we can't.
I mean, we did it last year accidentally.
Well, we're gonna meet the 17th, checks won't come out till the 21st.
When do they actually get checks in hand?
It'll be that Tuesday, the 17th.
They'll get it that day. They'll have their checks in hand or their direct deposits in the
The
bank.
direct deposit will go in the night before, actually, the 16th.
Well, this is still, much better than what we thought last week. So,
Yes.
last week we were at 0.
I just say do
Special meeting?
whatever we have to do.
Be legal?
to be legal.
I'd rather be legal, guys.
Me too.
Me too.
I mean, I'd love to get it to them and hand it to them before Christmas.
But at least they'll know it's coming.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe that will help. Elected officials, thoughts?
They're asleep.
I think, I'm not sleeping. I think the bonus before, if we can do it before Christmas is the best.
But if we're breaking the law to do it,
What about separate checks?
Did we break the law last year to do it?
we did, but we didn't do it on purpose.
Can you do two checks? I mean,
That's
could
kinda like-
you do it on the following Friday after the finance meeting?
Or couldn't she have the checks already, like, made up and not deposit them until that Tuesday after Quorum Court?
Yeah, but that's gonna throw a lot of
This-
people that,
Well, this could bring about.
you're gonna put off somebody.
Okay, go ahead.
No, do the regular payroll on that Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
But have
Expensive
everything
to run a
set
special
up
payroll.
to deposit the
It's
bonus
expensive to run a
that
special
Wednesday.
payroll.
Is it expensive to run a special payroll?
It's just very time consuming. I mean, if you pay 5 people, you're doing the same thing as if you were paying
200?
200. So I mean, it's still that same process and it's still that same time. And the bonus is a lot, probably more time consuming than a regular payroll because you're having to go in and you're having to check everybody's hire date. Then you're having to figure out how much we owe them. You know what I mean? And so you're going through a little bit more on the front end, but I mean, I will try to do whatever y'all tell me to do, and I can check and see with our software how it.
I think that's
would
asking
work.
her to do too much.
Guys, I'd recommend we stay legal. And at least we'll let the employees know,
They will know it's coming.
and we'll have the budget behind us, we'll have the budget off Kelly's back, and the financial department, their back, and so you're gonna make the motion that we pay $600 per full-time employee, $300 per part-time employee. We'll pass the appropriation ordinance December the 17th at our next regular Quorum Court meeting with the money to be paid at the December 31st pay date, which is the next pay date possible after we pass the ordinance. Do I understand? You still seconding? We got a second, all in favor? All right, we got one concept gone. Now then, the second concept, Molly want to talk a little bit about reduction in force and to bring it back to where she was at. She's saying that we've got some duplicated positions. We've got some positions that aren't even filled but are funded. And then maybe we've done some things, let some things slide that need some housekeeping.
And I feel like this is an important discussion to have no matter what. I think, you have to reflect on the things that you've done over the last 12 months in order to see where you're going to take yourself for the next 12 months and potentially the next 24 months. I would like for us to continue to be in the position where we are able to give bonuses and are able to give raises. However, I feel like if we just simply are continuing to add to our payroll yearly, then
Bigger government.
it's bigger. I mean, that's right. I mean, I don't know that we're not using. I just don't know that we're using our money wisely. And some, we are always going to have things that pop up to where we need a person to do something, or a new position created. Well, in my mind, I thought about this, so we're going to have an additional courtroom, which could potentially, once the new courthouse is built, which could potentially lead to an additional person for security. That is something we will have to do. There will always be times like that. There will always be times where, we can add convenience to the citizens of Mississippi County, just like with your part-time spot. That's a convenience to the citizens that they have multiple places where they can pay their taxes. It is a duplicate, but it's serving a service to our citizens, which I think is important as well. So, I always think it's important to look at that and make sure that we're using, that we're doing the best job we can. I think that's our job.
Four areas that Justice Jackson identified a minute ago that she'd like for us to at least look at and consider. The fact that we've doubled our janitorial staff from 2 to 4. that we have two majors out at the sheriff's department. I talked to the sheriff about his two majors. He's hoping that eventually one of them would correct itself through attrition and retirement. And if that were to happen, then he never intended to replace that major. We did lose Major Robinson when he retired, and we did replace him with Major Roundsville, now Major Roundsville. We still have Major Robinson, who is close to retirement, I think, but maybe a little bit top heavy in there.
Robinson's the one that retired.
Huh?
Robinson's the one that retired.
He is going to retire?
He is already retired. He's the one that Rob replaced, Rob Brownsville replaced.
Okay.
Andrew Harris.
Andrew Harris, excuse me, you're right. I get the names confused. Andrew Harris is still there, but I think Andrew's getting closer to retirement. Then she identified the fact that at one time we had one Office of Emergency Services. In that Office of Emergency Services, it took care of the Office of Emergency Services, and it also took care of our 911 system. When the 911 system expanded, David Linden, who occupied that one position and had both jobs, and then when that 911 system kind of expanded and got a little bit bigger and got more money, David Linden, he came to the Quorum Court and asked us if we would consider splitting those jobs off, because they were putting up new signs, they were assigning new road numbers, they were establishing the 911 emergency system in the county, and it was quite exhaustive in doing that because we didn't have 911 road numbers. We didn't have 911 addresses. There was just a lot of work to be done. Every home, every road had to be identified and numbered, and it was just overwhelming for David at that time. And he didn't have time to tend to the OEM responsibilities. So the Quorum Court at that time did split the two offices, but they didn't split the pay. And David kept his pay that he had at that time, and we created another new slot in the Office of Emergency Services. Now that our system has been set up in the 911 system for a number of years, the workload has appeared to greatly reduce from what it was in that initial period. We do have all the roads numbered, and the only new numbers that are having to be assigned are new homes that are being built and new addresses that need to be done there, but that's nominal,
Yeah.
kind of small. And so Molly's asking, could we not look at that? And then we've created a couple new positions for the job that includes Steve back here behind us in public relations. And then we've done a couple other things with part-time positions in the courthouse. And I think you just want us to look at every nook, corner, and cranny and see where we could cut, because, you know, if you cut 2 janitors and 1 major and combine the 911 and the OEM and then cut out 2 of these other positions, what are you saying, $200,000?
Well over $200,000.
Which could be a bonus or raise for all the county employees. So I think that I don't know, what do y'all think?
I think it merits a meeting just dedicated to that, or pass it on.
Well, we've got our chairman of our personnel committee present today. You know, you're going to learn to sit uphill.
Well, and I think it's important for me to say that these are, not only would I think that, you know, if what I'm saying, if I hope I'm saying it correctly, I would want these, you know, these spots or slots to not only be unfunded, but to be deleted. That these are not, you know, I just don't know that they're necessary for our county.
I agree that we need to take a hard look at some positions. And I think that we're going to find that there are some positions that probably can't be justified in light of everything. However, I would like to say, and I'm laying the cards on the table, due to the current status of what's going on in the county, I don't want anything to be perceived that the Quorum Court has taken some kind of actions in retribution or anything like that. I think, I agree with you 100%. I think it needs to be delayed somewhat until our current situation clears up, and then sit down and, as Bill said, have a meeting and look, and rather than make some quick, rash decisions and leave a perception that the court might be trying to retaliate or something like that. I don't think that's in the best interest of the county. I agree with you, and I agree probably with most of the things you've talked about, but I think the timing is wrong.
Well, and I will say I agree with you with the things that you said. These were things that this was something that I did when we were looking at a 22% increase in our insurance.
Absolutely.
And these were certainly things that I looked at. This email here is dated is back from October. So you're right. A lot of things have changed since I started this.
Well, and you're certainly right in doing it, and I commend you for doing it, and I appreciate the fact that you've done it. And I think we need to have that conversation.
And like I said, I know that it is sometimes a difficult conversation, but I think it's certainly a worthwhile conversation. So.
Well, are you good then with kind of just
I
tabling it for the moment?
I don't want to say table
Okay.
for indefinite, because that means indefinitely.
Oh, no. Then
Delay.
Well, I'm okay with delay.
delay discussion until possibly after the first year.
Yes.
How's
We'll
that?
discuss it at a later date.
Justice Clay?
I said a moment ago, we've been there, and there are some things that look like they're not functioning, or what have you. And I think until we take a closer look at it and see what it does, then because I don't know, that old adage that says that everything looks like one thing, but like you said a moment ago, we check it out.
Yeah. Well, the Quorum Court has full right and responsibility to fund or unfund personnel positions. But I really think we ought to discuss it with the various department heads. She's not singled out any particular department, any singular department head, any particular person, just positions. That's all that I think. Justice Jackson, I think her motives are clear and plain. She's looking out for the financial welfare of the county, and I think she's found some weak spots that we need to maybe look at. But I agree with Justice Burge, and maybe we'll discuss this a little more after the first
I
year.
agree.
Okay.
I do agree with that.
All right, 2 down. Justice Bill has brought up the point that maybe we'd like to look at either helping the employees with their deductibles. The easiest way, it appears at this moment, to maybe help them with those deductibles is to look at what it would cost, what kind of increase we would see in cost if we go to a $500 or $1,000 deductible rather than even the $1,500 deductible. And maybe that would help us some. And to that end, I think we've asked Kelly to check with Joanna with Stevens and see if she would come up with those numbers for us. Am I correct in that?
You are.
Okay. So we'll give Kelly and Joanna time to come up. I don't think she'll be able to do that on the...
No, and she can email us. In the meantime, the insurance committee will be ready to make a proposal.
Excellent. Excellent. 2020 budget, y'all. Kelly has some handouts that she'd like to give you. Kelly, you're on stage.
Well, I had to run out without all the copies I wanted to bring, but I do have enough copies of the revenue side for everybody.
Thank you.
Keep in mind, Kelly was here with us in insurance committee meeting till 11 o'clock a while ago, or a little after, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
There's plenty. Let me keep one.
Thank you, sir.
Get Rick one.
Revenue.
I'll take it down to him.
Bill's on his game
Well, I'm
today.
telling you.
the entire expenditure, I was only able to have time to do 4, but I went ahead and
Thank you,
emailed it, so if anyone has access.
Do you have a copy for yourself?
No, I have 4.
Okay.
Then y'all share.
All right, we'll make it.
But I've got this binder that has a lot of the information in here, so.
Okay.
No extra?
Yes. Mark, you want one of these? Sure.
If you have an extra.
Okay, you've still got the floor, Kelly. You want to come up here, or had you rather sit
Yeah,
over there?
I'd
Hey, do you have better
rather-
access to your stuff? Okay, that's fine.
I'll yell if you want me to.
No, you're fine.
Well, I started going through and changing all the insurance to 22%. I did not even get all of that done with all the funds, which is a good thing, because now I don't have to go back and change them all. But County General is completely done, so the revenue.
With the 22%?
With the 22% and with the revenues at 90%. So if you want to look at that, those are completely finished.
All
You
right.
can look at the revenues versus expenditures, and then we can consider the.
You got a little stronger clarification on the 90% from the state this week. Would you touch on that for the rest of the committee, please?
Yes, there are 4 exceptions to budgeting revenues at 90%. Basically, everything has to be budgeted at 90%. I was more under the impression that it was more of the general fund that just had to be budgeted at 90%. But do you happen to have that email that I sent you? The 4 exceptions were grant, or, like bond issues, like, a special tax revenue, so that'll affect our bond funds, but we don't really have a lot of funds that fell in that exception rule, so pretty much all of our funds need to be, budgeted at 90%, as well as any fund balance carryovers. Okay, so yeah, the 4 exceptions are a federal or state grant, which can be appropriated at the 100% level. If a county has been declared a disaster area, then you can budget over the 90% if that amount is going to be used to clean up streets or repair equipment, things that fall under that area. Any county that has a dedicated sales tax, so one that is dedicated by ballot title, may be appropriated up to 100%. And then when the Quorum Court deems it financially necessary, they may appropriate for any 1 year in excess of 90%. So besides our bond issue, or maybe a few of the grants that the sheriff expects to get, everything else is at 90%.
Okay. In our county general, did you include the CD revenues?
No, they're not in this report,
Yes.
but they're going to be on the ordinance. I just
Okay,
can't put them in this report, but they
Okay,
will
so-
be.
We have hashed and hashed and hashed, line item by line item. I don't think we actually need to do that today too much. So if you look at page 10 on your revenues, on the revenue side, keep in mind that they're printed on both sides. So look at the top right-hand corner to find your page number in page 10.
Okay.
And 2020 request at $8,544,420.90. That's revenues. If you'll flip over to page 27 now this, go to your expenditures, go to the other one. Let's go. That's how much money we are showing just in general revenues.
Okay.
27, you said?
Page 27, and it'll be on the back side of one of your pages. And down at the very bottom of the page, county general fund total on 2020 request are $9,572,432.
That's not good.
Well, there's $1 million difference right there in the revenues.
Which one's
So
that?
that's where the CDs come in.
And this is where the CDs come into play. Correct me if I'm wrong, and then this is where the CDs kind of come into play.
Yes, this
You
is
have an
where,
extra expenditures.
I don't, I only have 4 of
Okay.
those. I don't even
Here, Bill.
have one. Yeah.
Shows on page 27.
No, I was gonna give Mark one.
We're at 3.3 mil roughly in CD revenues, reserves, CD reserves, and even those, we can only appropriate 90% of those.
Correct.
But that still leaves us at real close to 2.75 million in CD reserves that we can pledge against our overage here.
And that is with all insurance out of county general at the 22%.
Okay,
So,
okay, so that's not bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then when we pull that back out,
So we'll be without the
that'll add
CDs.
300,000 back in.
So that's really good.
So, yeah. This is why it's so important to build and maintain county reserves, guys. You don't know how hard it is to make a budget. Some of those ladies back there in that left-hand corner went through some of this where we got to this point and we didn't have any reserves and we're still $1 million out, and we had to turn around and look at our elected officials and say, guys, we need another 5% beyond what all the cuts you had already made. You remember that, don't you, Miss Curry and Peggy? Y'all remember going through those times, and it was tough, guys. We had no reserves. So that's why it is so important that we build our reserves to this point so that when we get here, we can actually make our budget and we're not going back to them constantly for more and more cuts. You know, praise the Lord for good county elected officials. It was those elected officials that got us through the hard times. So,
But now, they haven't been without help from us. Let's don't break our arm patting them on the back.
well, let's say maybe we've given them good guidance.
What did you say?
It was a cooperative effort is what Bill's trying to say.
Oh, okay.
Kelly, do you have anything in particular to point out as far as these county generals, other than we've got extra insurance built in?
Yeah, the 22% is in there. I have included the changes that we've discussed for personnel. So the employee that's going to be coming out of, half of it's coming out of Harley's office,
Mhm.
that's
Those changes were
updated.
made.
I've changed the election coordinator.
Mhm.
The part-time person in financial management is in there.
Okay.
Am I supposed to do that? Because
Yes.
we never did. I
No,
haven't-
include it in the budget.
Okay, okay.
Because then we can always defund it in Molly's process over here.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. Thanks, I'm appreciative of that.
And then, the juvenile slot that's going from part-time to full-time, the part-time position was paid out of that juvenile special revenue fund, the
Mhm.
3031. Okay, well, the full-time can't be out of there, so it is in county general. And I think it was kind of my understanding that we need to move $10,000 of their expenses over to 3031 to kind of make up for that.
That's
So
correct.
that hasn't been done. I wanted you to
Just
tell
haven't
me.
got there?
Yeah, well, I
No,
just
we
want to
want
make
you to do
sure.
that.
Okay.
That was per Darrell.
That's right, he said.
Per Darrell. We're
yes.
not doing anything that we haven't been directed to.
Right, the only thing is the line items don't actually match up, so I'm gonna have to add like a fuel line in the 3031 or some, it may not be fuel, but I'll have to add some categories to be able to put $10,000 over there, so you're okay
Okay.
with that? Let me make sure.
So now we got $1 million surplus from our revenue to expenditures.
Yes.
Let's go.
And it really won't take that much. It'll take,
Let's go to Memphis.
Closer. Tunica.
What's in Memphis? Oh,
Tunica. Oh, well, he may be stopping at West Memphis. I don't know. It's
That'll
a-
be fine.
I got $3.80.
I do have a couple of funds that,
Special revenues or some of these
yes,
other
they're
accounts.
just, some special revenue accounts that didn't quite balance. There's a few that have more expenditures than revenues, so if you want to look at those and just tell me what you want me to do, I mean, I can cut expenditures, or if we need to review the revenues a little bit, either way. But one of them is, the county clerk automation fund, it's 3005, fund
Are
3005.
you looking at revenues or expenditures?
Well, if you look at revenues versus expenditures, we're $1,403.65 short. So Janice is here. Do I need to just move that over to county general? Because there's gonna be a few of those that,
At $1,400, Janice, do you have any problem with us just moving that over to county general?
Or you, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, hon.
I was gonna say, if there's another account, can't you just take it from another account that I have and have money in? Or another line item?
Well, what she's looking at is the total bottom balance.
Okay.
Your revenue, your automation fund, we're spending more than you're getting.
Okay. Sorry.
So is that another one where we
You've
can-
never asked for anything you didn't need that I can
yeah,
recall.
that's with
Or
90%.
didn't
Well, maybe help.
I don't have any friends.
Let's move it.
There's two of the circuit clerk's accounts, 3404 and 3405. Where her revenues are less than her expenditures. Okay, those two funds together, she's short $59,052.93. But she has three other funds where she's over. So I don't know if I just need to get with her and see, or if you want to look at it, but you know, her 3006, she's $79,000 over there. So I mean, I could potentially, I just need to, I guess, get with her and see if that can be
I'd
moved.
like to just let her work it through and balance it out on her own, but now if she can't, we will.
Okay.
Her
Ma'am?
3405 account actually went in the red after payroll this week. And she was in the red until we got her settlement yesterday.
Well, that
That's the first
fund,
time I can remember that happening in a long time.
yeah, that fund is short $56,000, so.
But she's got all that money in that other account.
Yeah, she's just, I remember her making comments about that 3006 being really restricted. She wasn't able to pay that storage rent out of there, so I don't know all the rules for that one,
Yeah.
but I'll ask and see. I think what she can do though is she can transfer from that one, you know, because that's what she did for the rent. She transferred it from there, even though it couldn't be paid from there. So I'll work with her on that.
I think she's been really busy lately with her
Yeah, she said that.
court schedule.
3004 is the Amendment 79 fund, the assessor's fund, and he depleted that, you know, a while back, and it just never really has built back up. But we are taking some expenses out of there every month, like some phone and internet things, if he has the money. If he doesn't, then we're having to take it out of county general. But that one is short almost $10,000. So
That's Assessor Amendment 79 fund, guys.
we've been taking everything that can't be paid out of there and putting it in his county general account. That's the only other option he has. So, do you want me to just talk to him about it, or do you want me to go ahead and just put those expenses in county general?
Put them in county general. Try to budget as correctly and closely as we can.
Okay. Then there is fund, let me see, make sure. Okay, the sheriff has fund 3014. It's his communication fund.
Page 45, guys, if you want.
And I haven't had a chance to talk to him about it, but he usually helps me move everything. Okay,
You wanna look at it?
he's got about $43,000 extra there, but the expense line that we've been, we use money in there when the jail is short, and we transfer it to cover expenses in the jail. But we didn't budget anything in that line item for 2020. So my first question is, do we need to put something in there to budget for that expense of
Yeah.
transferring to jail? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so how much? And then the other question is, he's got two funds that are short. And I wanted to know, before we add expenses in 3014, do you want to
How short are
cover those other
two?
two? One is $3,242, and then that's 3409. And then 3410 is short $1,661. And the cushion that he has in there is $43,275. So
This,
I thought about just covering those two, and then the
Covering
rest
that.
of it being a transfer.
showing it as a transfer to other
Mhm.
sheriff funds, yes.
Okay.
If you look, we transferred as of November 30th, 77,000 out of this fund. This is on page 45 of the expenditures. In 2017, we've transferred 50,799.09. 2018, we didn't have to transfer quite as much. That's because of the liable jail fee money that we got that helped us out so much. We only transferred 13,214. Already this year, we've transferred 77,000 against a $22,600 budget. So what Kelly is proposing will be roughly $38,000 that we'll budget in to cover transfers to other sheriff funds, against $22,600. We're going to increase it about, 16,000 or so. Sound right?
That's,
Is that okay?
yes.
Okay.
The other question I had was about the juvenile, so we've already covered that. We can look at other funds if you want to, but I don't have any other funds that I've put the 22% in. But if you want to look at some other funds, we can, and
No, but I think if you get down to the grand totals, once you made all these completions, we're still well within our budgetary guidelines.
we should be good. I'm gonna update jail. That's really the only one I'm worried about. Everything else is, the only thing I'm worried about is if we can't make jail budget, then we're either gonna have to increase county general transfers to there or cut their expenses somehow. And I don't wanna say for sure that we're going to have to do that until I update the insurance, so.
Not a lot of expenses in there to cut, other than maybe like,
Yes.
well,
There you go, Molly.
okay, so, I've been looking at some of that too, and if you read the paper, yeah, I've looked at more than I'd care to, but, in that, like, he had 3 jailer positions that were funded, but not filled. And I truly did call the sheriff and ask him how often did he have all of those jailer positions filled, and he said, like, never. And it's because it's a tough job for a small amount of money, and he can't get people to always fill those jobs. So there are some other cracks in there, just as Justice Jackson has been looking at, that maybe we can unfund. And then if he gets to the point that he has to have them, we could go back in and look at funding them at the time that he actually needs them. But there's 3 positions right there that are $30,000 positions, plus benefits, that we're having to budget for, and that's $100,000 plus. So, maybe he might want to do some of those adjustments, but yeah, so we've got some, she's on the right track.
Well,
Absolutely.
and if you, you think about it, which I understand we usually give blanket, raises, but if those are positions where you know, we need to look at the job itself. I mean, that's still within the sheriff's budget, you know, so if he were to, I mean, I'm just kind of thinking out of the box here, you know, I mean, if he were to take those positions out, it may give him a little bit more cushion to where those jobs may not be so hard to fill.
I understand what you're saying. You know, most of the time, those jail positions in particular are determined by the number of residents in the jail.
That's right.
The inmate count on a daily basis. He has to have so many jailers per so many inmates, state guidelines.
Yes, I know we've talked about that in a couple of the meetings, but on average, the jail is seeing less, I mean.
It is.
Just.
Our population is down. The state, well, there's several reasons for that. For one thing, the cities are really cooperating. And,
So maybe crime is down. So.
Okay.
Don't.
Well, honestly, the cities are taking a lot harder look at who they incarcerate. Yeah, they really are. I think our district judges are doing a really good job of looking at it from all angles and all sides, including our side now. And it's not a debtor's prison at all. And I think they're being very conscientious about how they utilize our county jail. That has really helped. And then the state has also really helped in moving prisoners on a much more timely basis. It's kind of a double-edged sword because we don't collect state jail fees on that. But in the past, those state jail fees have been so low that it's costing us more money than we're getting from the state. So it's good for us for them to move them on out, and then that can reduce our jailer deal. So let's see what the sheriff would like to do and see if he wants to work down and go at it like that.
I'm gonna get the insurance in there first and then see really where we are and then work with him if we need to.
Today is Thursday. Our next normal monthly finance committee meeting is Monday. Kelly has been cramped and stressed and strained and trying to put all this stuff together with everything else that's going on. And she's done a really good job of getting this together for us. We have been not quite so timely in maybe some of our requests, and insurance has just killed us. And it's no fault of anybody's except maybe the old insurance company that we've had. They delayed in giving us our loss ratios, so we couldn't get other quotes.
They held us hostage.
They held us hostage. They really did. Our insurance company held us hostage. If Stevens could have gotten these numbers 3 months ago, we'd have had these quotes 3 months ago.
That might even be better.
Yeah, exactly. So, due to nobody's fault, you know, it's just been a drug out process this year. But Kelly, do you have anything else in particular, any other accounts that you think we need to ding on today?
I can't think of anything that stands out. The jail is the only thing.
The jail's the only
that I'm
thing,
gonna-
and we need to talk to the sheriff about that.
Yes, and I think everything else is looking really good. It's
So-
really gonna look better when I change the insurance.
What about Justice Burgess landfill? Is it okay?
Thank you. I've been here looking at the numbers, be sure.
No, it's
yeah.
not okay.
For y'all's general gee whiz, I asked Neil the other day when we were sitting here at the table, looking at revenues and then looking at, actually what I was looking at was the account fund balances. And then knowing that well, won't you talk, just a real brief monthly revenue against monthly expenditures, against account balances, against the bid process. That make sense?
Well, basically, operation-wise, the way it's been running the last 2 or 3 years, if the numbers hold, the landfill averages about $300,000 a month in revenue. Our expenses usually average around $200,000 a month. So on an annual basis, the landfill should generate about $1 to $1.2 million of excess above expenses. That money has to be diverted basically to ADEQ requirements. As far as every time we turn around, we have to spend another $2 million on other sales. So the goal is, and I think this is all we can ever hope for, the goal is If the landfill will just be self-sustaining, where it does not have to be subsidized, it can do that. As long as our revenue holds and as long as we watch our expenses and everything, the landfill can be self-sustaining without being a drain on the county general. And that's what we try to look at. And we're in good shape right now. Our balance is good, but we have a $2.2 million bid that just went out. So within the next 5 or 6 months, that money will have to be paid.
Okay, how much money do you have in your account
At
balance
the
at
end
the
of
moment?
October, it was about 2.2 million at the end of October. So, and we should accumulate, although I got the numbers yesterday, our revenue for November was really off. It was only about $200,000. I'm not sure why.
You cover expenditures, you're just not gonna make any extra.
It's not gonna make any extra.
So in your opinion, we're gonna eke, and we're gonna make that $2 million contract. We're gonna get that new cell constructed, we're gonna get it open, and we're not gonna have a lot of extra left for a little bit, but then we hit the Cinderella period where we don't, our expenditures cut back, and then we start
Correct.
gaining back again.
And the $500,000 CAO correction will be paid for too.
Oh, that's
Okay.
something that's been on our
Yeah.
back.
That'll be out of the way.
Excellent.
All that's been paid except the holdback, hasn't it, Kelly?
I think
I
so.
think there's a 10% holdback, I think, until they finalize it. So we only owe probably around 50,000 on that.
Well, and tell me if I misunderstood here, and that is even with giving some of the cities some, a discount
Yes,
in order to.
the judge, right, and I think it's been
That's
great.
me
The
too.
city of Blytheville has taken advantage of it, and some others have. He gave them a 30% discount in order to help them clean up and do everything, and I think it's working great,
Now, I hope that that's something that we can continue to do.
absolutely.
So my recommendation is, let's let Kelly finish out, put all this back together. We have Monday, regular finance. Any last minute little tweaks, we can take care of Monday. Any regular monthly business that needs to come before the finance to be presented at the December 17th meeting, we can take care of Monday. We know of a couple things. For one thing, I think the
Insurance.
that resolution, as far as I'm concerned, should come probably directly from the insurance committee, or do you want that the resolution to accept the qual choice bid? Do you want that to come out of your committee? Do you want us to take any action on
Well,
it
we've done
here?
this before, and honestly, I don't remember how we did it.
I don't know that it matters, as long as it comes from committee, and it doesn't have to come out of finance as far as I'm concerned, it can come from insurance. You can think about it over the weekend. If you want to talk about it in finance and make sure that it moves forward from there to regular meeting, that'd be fine. And then maybe by that time, she might have some numbers.
Okay,
How's that?
how's that?
You got any other business you want to talk about? Any other cans you want to open?
Not today, I'm good.
Justice Bird?
No, I'm good.
Justice Bill? Kelly? We've had 3 elected officials over there and that a while ago were just chattering to no end, but got awful quiet. It's like the mouse were discovered.
Exactly.
Y'all got anything that y'all want to throw out as far as this budgetary process, or I'm sorry that we're not going to get the bonus checks in time, but golly, when you walked in a while ago, there was no bonus.
That's right. I just want to say on the health savings thing,
Yes, ma'am.
we had that when I worked at Terra, and if you don't use all of that money by the end of the year, you don't get it.
You lose it.
Right. So that may be
Just a thought
a thought.
in the process.
That's the same thing with the cafeteria plan, use it or lose it.
Okay.
Well, it's just, from the employee standpoint, it's a lot easier if we can just give them good coverage where it's not such a burden on them, because when you get into HSAs, you have to do the paperwork and send in your receipts and do all that. The individual has to do,
We're not gonna do that.
that's why I say it gets complicated.
Cindy or Steve out of the judge's office, anything
No, sir.
that y'all aware of? Okay. Rick? Ms. Heffler, Justice Clay. We'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys. See you Monday. Monday at 1:30, please.
Yeah.